Today's news highlights 20250717. Date July 17, 2025. July 17, 114, Republic of China. Time cutoff time, 1500 hours on the same day. News highlights: a man in his 60s was tested positive for colorectal cancer due to fecal occult blood, and it turned out that he drank beef soup for breakfast every day. Doctors point out that long-term consumption of large amounts of red meat increases the risk of colorectal cancer, and eating 100 grams of red meat per day increases the risk by 17%. In addition, salted crispy chicken and alcohol are also key to carcinogenesis, so the intake should be reduced. Experts remind that regular screening tests such as fecal occult blood tests can detect lesions early, and it is recommended that people over 45 years old have regular check-ups to reduce the threat of colorectal cancer. News highlights: recently, there have been cases of food poisoning in many places in South Korea after people eating seaweed rice rolls, and 130 people in Seoul and dozens of teachers and students in schools in Gwangju and Incheon have become unwell. The investigation found that the main cause was salmonella contamination of eggs. Experts remind that high temperatures in summer are more likely to breed bacteria, so avoid raw food, cook eggs thoroughly and store food properly to prevent food poisoning. The number of people reported in May has tripled compared to the same period last year, and the public needs to be vigilant. News highlights: the women's football team of Taiwan Normal University broke out that the coach forced students to participate in research by taking blood in exchange for credits, involving threats, drawing blood without consent, and misappropriating subsidies as team fees, which caused social shock. The Ministry of Education has heavily fined Taiwan Normal University 1.1 million yuan and suspended human body research, and the coaches and professors involved in the case have been fined 500,000 yuan each. The executive yuan, Zhou Rongta, bitterly criticized the matter, demanded the most severe punishment and initiated an interministerial investigation. The Taipei District Prosecutor's Office has intervened in the investigation, and the coach is listed as a defendant. The National Science Council found that the proportion of human research in Taiwan Normal University is abnormal, and it is afraid that it is not a single incident, and it will be comprehensively investigated. News highlights: US President Donald Trump announced a 25% tariff on Japanese and South Korean goods starting in August, and announced that he would impose at least 10% tariffs on countries that have not negotiated with the United States. He stressed that a trade deal with India is imminent, and a consensus had been reached with Indonesia the day before. The White House said the move had prompted negotiations between several countries. The European Union and Canada are preparing to retaliate, and trade tensions between the United States and Europe are heating up. Trump reiterated that if countries are willing to invest in the United States will still open space for consultation. News highlights: after cutting onions or garlic, there is a foul smell on your hands, and it is difficult to remove it even with soap. Experts recommend rubbing your hands with coffee beans or coffee grounds and rinsing them with cold water to effectively absorb and neutralize odors. Other methods include using lemon juice, when there are no wounds on your hands, toothpaste, mouthwash, or stainless steel utensils to scrub your hands. In addition, cutting onions is easy to tear. Because of the release of tear gas, you can refrigerate or microwave to reduce irritation. Wearing gloves can also prevent residual odor and tearing. News highlights: the women's football team of Taiwan Normal University broke out in the blood drawing for credits, and coach Zhou Taiying was suspected of forcing students to participate in blood drawing experiments without consent, and threatened to deduct credits and drop out of school, which caused public opinion. The Ministry of Education fined Taiwan Normal University 1.1 million yuan and suspended its new human research case, and the National Science Council and the prosecutor also launched an investigation at the same time. President Zhou Rongta said that he would severely punish those involved and remedy the victimized students, and the incident exposed major deficiencies in education and research ethics, which aroused social concern. News highlights: Shinkong Mitsukoji's Taichung store was closed for 5 months, hitting the department store market in central Taiwan hard, with revenue in the first half of 2025 falling by more than 5.5 billion yuan, a decrease of 14.2%, of which Shinkong Mitsukoji's revenue fell by 65% as the main reason. Most of the 400 counters in the store are the highest performance in Taiwan, and brands and customers mostly choose to wait for the resumption of business, resulting in limited flow of people and a decline in the popularity of the 7th phase of the business district. The livelihood of more than 4,000 employees has been affected, and the market has come to a standstill due to the outflow of overseas travel and high-end consumption. The industry is concerned about the resumption of business and hopes to drive the recovery of the overall business district. News highlights: in workplace communication, although the telephone is not as convenient as messaging, it shows higher efficiency and warmth in emergencies, abstract concepts, and emotional appeals. Over-reliance on information can slow down progress and lead to misunderstandings. In the face of phone fear, you can improve your self-confidence and performance through psychological adjustment, quiet environment, and data preparation. Confirm by text after telephone communication to avoid misunderstandings and strengthen records. With the right timing and skills, the phone call will become a key tool to enhance professional image and decision-making efficiency. News highlights the U.S. Consumer Price Index, CPI, rose 0.3% in June, the largest increase this year, pushing the 30-year Treasury yield above 5%. Allen, a strategist at Deutsche Bank, pointed out that the market continues to underestimate inflation risks and may misjudge the direction of the Federal Reserve, Fed, interest rate for the fourth consecutive year. He believes that 4 major factors, including Trump's tariff increases, retaliatory tariffs from other countries, debt expansion in large economies, and unexpected events, will continue to push up prices. Allen warned that inflationary pressures may intensify, the market has not yet fully priced in, and investors may face the risk of another scare. News highlights the world is rapidly building an AI ecosystem, and data processing has become the core of AI innovation. Databricks, a Silicon Valley startup, integrates data lakes and data warehousing with a lakehouse architecture to help enterprises accelerate AI adoption, attracting more than 60% of Fortune 500 companies and partnering with Microsoft, Amazon, Google Cloud, and Nvidia to become a leader in AI platforms. On the other hand, although Taiwan has some software services, it still lacks new data platform innovations with high integration and high influence. Experts believe that Taiwan must pay attention to data governance and cultural transformation, regard data as a long-term asset, and cultivate an internationally competitive data platform through systematic investment and cross-departmental collaboration to promote the sustainable growth of the AI industry. News highlights foreign-funded Nomura and HSBC in TSMC, 2330. Before the meeting, the target price was raised to $1,280 and the buy rating was maintained. Nomura is optimistic about the demand for 2nm process in 2026, and expects that Apple's full range of iPhones will use 2nm, driving about 4% of wafer revenue, and maintaining $40 billion in capital expenditure in 2025, focusing on investing in 2nm capacity expansion. Although HSBC lowered its EPS by 5% this year and next year to reflect exchange rate and tariff headwinds, it still raised its target price by more than 16% due to its optimism about EPS and advanced process leadership in 2026. Morgan Stanley and many other foreign investors are all targeted more than 1,200 yuan. The outlook is optimistic. News highlights the U.S. reduced tariffs on Indonesian exports to the U.S. from 32% to 19%, which is better than Vietnam's 20%, benefiting Taiwan's footwear and textile industries. The production capacity of the leading footwear manufacturer Po Chen in Indonesia accounts for more than half of the total, benefiting from the reduction of tariffs and the effect of order transfer, and the business outlook is promising. The textile duo Ruhong and Zhuyang will also accelerate the expansion of production and seize the tax dividend. According to the industry, policy clarity will help return orders and price negotiations, but it is still necessary to pay attention to tariff changes in other producing countries to assess regional competitiveness. Po Chen emphasized that it will continue to flexibly adjust its production capacity and actively respond to market changes. News highlights the Taipei Municipal Bureau of Land Administration released the 2024 annual report on the real estate market, and the luxury housing market continued to be led by One Park Taipei Yuanli Zhenyi Lianqin, covering the top 6 high-priced residential unit prices last year, reaching up to 2.794 million yuan per square meter, and this year's transaction price is still the highest in Taiwan, with 2.397 million yuan per square meter for households on the 13th floor in April. Among the top 10 high-priced houses, they also include Daibao, Zuofuobang, and the chief mansion of Zhenyi District. Da'an District and Zhenyi District each have 4 construction projects on the list, and the top 3 highest unit prices are all more than 2.9 million yuan per square meter. Experts said that despite the downturn in the housing market, high-end luxury homes still have stable buying, mostly for owner-occupancy demand and well-known builders, which have become market highlights. News highlights the U.S. Department of Defense is working with research institutes to try to turn plastic waste into edible microorganisms, bringing new solutions to food sustainability and military logistics. The research team used plastophage bacteria to break down plastic and convert it into a protein-containing microbial powder that smells like yeast. The system is designed to be portable, low-energy, and capable of on-site plastic waste processing. The study has entered the animal testing stage and will be sent to the US FDA for review. Although this technology is not yet widely available, it offers a silver lining in the global plastic pollution and food crisis. News highlights Taiwan is actively promoting the energy transition, aiming for 60% to 70% renewable energy by 2050. In response to the unstable power supply of renewable energy, Taipower has laid out stable power supply solutions, including the Meili Tongxiao gas-fired power plant and the Mingtan pumped storage hydropower plant. The gas-fired power unit has the characteristics of fast startup and low carbon, and the pumped and stored power can be stored during the day and released at night. The Mingtan power plant played a key rescue role in the 815 power outage. The government emphasizes that 30 GW of PV will be generated by 2030, and that the power supply will be stabilized through gas and energy storage systems to ensure that there will be no shortage of electricity on the road to transformation. News highlights the catastrophe of climate change should not be borne by the most vulnerable, and global climate litigation is on the rise as a key action in the fight for climate justice. From the Dutch government's decision to reduce carbon emissions to Shell's 45% reduction, the courts are gradually expanding the accountability of governments, companies, and financial institutions. The real disasters in the Marshall Islands and Greenland underscore the fact that the law is the last line of defense. Climate litigation is not just a legal battle, but a global judgment of future responsibility, and companies and governments must face up to climate responsibility and embrace the transition to sustainability. News highlights: Taiwan is actively promoting the 2050 net zero transition, and the demand for green-collar talents continues to rise. According to the latest report by the Ministry of Environment, nearly 60% of green-collar jobs will be open to any department by 2025, and more than 50% will welcome those with no seniority. The median salary of green-collar workers reached $40,000, which was better than the overall market, and some professionals earned more than $60,000 a month. The fields of work cover energy, energy conservation, environmental management, etc., and both soft and hard skills are particularly popular. The Ministry of the Environment has also cooperated with a number of ministries and universities to promote training courses to strengthen the transformation of young people in the workplace, and green collar has become an important trend in the future workplace. News highlights: Tropical Depression TD09 may intensify into Typhoon number 6 Vipa today, 17, and its path is expected to pass through the Bay Strait to the South China Sea. However, experts warn that if the path is northerly, it may strengthen the impact on Taiwan and prolong the time. It is expected that Papa will be closest to Taiwan time in the first half of Friday to Sunday, and there may be heavy rainfall on the windward side of the eastern half and south, and the accumulated rainfall in the mountainous areas needs to be strictly guarded against possible disasters. News highlights: According to a report by the Ministry of Environment, 59% of green-collar jobs will be open in 2025, and more than half will welcome those with no seniority, with a median salary of 40,000 yuan, which is better than the market average. A history graduate was transferred to the post of Green Power Commissioner, with a salary of 62,000 yuan in 27 years. The Ministry of Environment, together with universities and ministries, has set up a number of special courses to accelerate the transformation of young people and working people. News highlights: An Air India Boeing 787 crashed into a residential area in Ahmedabad in June, killing 260 people and surviving only one. The black box recording disclosed by the US media showed that the captain Sabarwal was suspected of deliberately cutting off the fuel, and the co-pilot asked the reason on the spot. Shortly after takeoff, the plane stalled and crashed, crashing into the medical student dormitory. The captain has been suffering from depression for many years and has the intention of retiring early, and experts pointed out that the fuel cut-off device is designed to be foolproof, which is difficult to trigger unintentionally, and the incident has aroused great concern about aviation safety and the mental health of pilots. News highlights: Zhou Taiying, the coach of the women's football team of Taiwan Normal University, was revealed to have coerced students to participate in experiments for a long time with credits, and drew blood every day to attract attention. Afterwards, Lu Jinsang, a teacher at the same school, was criticized for questioning the victim female student in the community. Although he posted an apology on his private Facebook, his words were unwilling and innocent, which caused more disgust. Lu stressed that he was not involved in the incident, and only interacted with the student in class, and pointed out that he had been given the opportunity to submit supplementary homework. The outside world questioned that his remarks did not show that educators should empathize, reflecting the lack of reflection on responsibility and system in the academic community. News highlights: A 7.3 strong earthquake struck off the coast of Alaska on July 5, with an epicenter about 87 kilometers south of Sandpoint and an epicenter at a depth of 20.1 kilometers. Although rumors had been circulating in Japan that there would be a strong earthquake on the same day, the actual place of the earthquake was in the United States, and there is no news of the disaster so far. News highlights: Jian Kitchen, the whistleblower of the Taiwan Normal University women's football team Blood for Credits, bravely took off his sunglasses at the press conference and bluntly said, "It's not me who should be hidden," which moved everyone. Recently, her private kindness was exposed, and on the day she was discharged, she met the lost ABO, and took the initiative to send him home safely, and said emotionally, "Although I can't find my way home for the time being, I can decide what kind of person I want to be." National Taiwan University physician Shi Jingzhong praised her as a fearless and brave man, and netizens also left messages to pay tribute to her courage and kindness. News highlights: US President Donald Trump has announced new tariffs on more than 20 trading partners, and Taiwan is not yet on the list and may be close to a deal. Trump said he would announce a number of deals, including India, and send tariff letters to more than 150 unnegotiated countries. Countries such as Japan and South Korea face tariffs of about 25%, and Indonesia has dropped tariffs to 19% due to the new agreement. Yan Huixin, deputy representative of the Executive Yuan's Economic and Trade Negotiations, said that Taiwan strives for tariff rates that are not higher than those of Japan and South Korea, and continues to negotiate with the United States. News highlights: South Korean girl group Mamamoo lead singer Song Le, Solar, loves to learn Chinese, and recently collaborated with Taiwanese singer 9M88 to release the Chinese single Floating Free. In an exclusive interview, she said in fluent Chinese that she hopes to communicate with fans without translation in the future, laughing that she is praised as a Chinese genius, but in fact, fans are too friendly. She practiced Chinese through listening and speaking, and fans also learned Korean because of her, and the two sides learned and communicated with each other, which made her feel very good. News highlights: mainland photographer Xiao Yan met a 15-year-old girl Kikai on the streets of Henan, and took the initiative to ask for a shot because of her delicate facial features, and the video quickly became popular after it was uploaded, attracting more than 400,000 likes. Kikai is known as Cecilia Chung, Jo Soon, and other stars, and even the well-known producer Yu Zhang wants to sign her. However, Kikai's mother said that she has no economic work, and she is still focusing on schoolwork and has no plans to enter the showbiz for the time being. News highlights: Lu Yura announced today, 16, that her daughter Hey a Little Peanut was born ahead of schedule, although she was slightly lighter but longer, and her cry sounded at the moment of birth, which moved her to tears. She thanked her husband Hu Kaixiang for accompanying him all the way, waiting for the days of insomnia and holding her hand. I would also like to thank my family for their support. She smiled and said that she would miss the time of pregnancy and officially start a new life for a family of 3. News highlights: Lin Xiang, the head of the Zhongjaiwei Chuanlong cheerleading team, and Li's Hillen's brokerage company, Lina, decided to regain her identity as a photographer and moved to Suzhou, China this month to recuperate. She revealed that the brokerage business will be handled by the team, and Lin Xiang and Hillen will still belong to the company, and said that they hope to improve their endocrine disorders and health by changing their living environment. News highlights: internet celebrity Pineapple, Wu Hong'ai, was shot 12 times by a motorcyclist at gunpoint in Chi last night, but fortunately he and his wife Ara were not injured, and the police are chasing the gunman. The tired boss who had turned his face with Pineapple due to debts later posted a post on the community, which aroused associations with the outside world, and although the article was deleted immediately, it still set off a discussion. In the past, the two had controlled each other over company sales and debt disputes, and the turmoil continued to burn. News highlights: the well-known French comedian Roman accidentally fell from a balcony on July 10 at the age of 43. Originally an engineer, he later moved to the comedy circle, where he became popular for his humorous discussion of racial issues, and is a representative of French talk shows. He was originally scheduled to perform in Canada on the 11th, but died suddenly the day before, and the news shocked fans. News highlights: American occult investigator Dan Rivera, 54 years old, recently participated in the Demon Runaway Journey traveling exhibition, exhibiting the famous cursed doll Annabelle, was found to have died suddenly in the room of the Pennsylvania hotel after the event on the evening of the 13th. There were no suspicious signs at the scene, and the cause of death is still under investigation. His affiliation with the Association for the Study of the Paranormal confirmed his death, expressing deep sorrow and praising his dedication and passion for the occult realm. News highlights: good luck in the middle of summer. The numerology website Soho named the zodiac tiger, snake, horse, and pig in July and August, with strong momentum, career luck, noble luck, and financial luck. Those who belong to the tiger have a bright workplace and a lot of money. Snake people have stable financial management and continuous upward fortune. Those who belong to the horse have a breakthrough in their careers and are prosperous in their wealth. Pig people are blessed with bright stars and constant surprises in income. This wave of good fortune will continue into August, and wealth and quality of life will improve simultaneously. News highlights: the Han Kuang 41 exercise was staged from the 9th to the 18th, which was the largest in history and attracted the attention of the British media. The British Daily Telegraph went to Kinmen to observe, and the report pointed out that although Kinmen is a frontline island and the scale of the exercise is unprecedented, many local people and soldiers believe that the exercise is of limited significance, and some generals even joke that if there is a war, they will hide in the mountains. Kinmen generally do not expect immediate support in the event of a cross-strait conflict, compounded by the cultural and blood proximity to China and the fact that Beijing has intensified its grey zone operations in recent years. News highlights: since last year, the central government has stepped up an inventory of illegal construction of supermarkets on farmland, and more than 10 illegal supermarkets in Taiwan have been fined and closed down, setting off a wave of lights out. Dawen City, Zhonghua County, and Hsinchu County were the most affected, and some landlords were transferred to justice. Local criticism of institutional loopholes: illegal construction can be long-term business. Some people complained about the inconvenience of people's livelihood, and the industry shouted that they were not familiar with the law. Local governments have called for increased scrutiny and legalization of the project to balance the needs of the people with legal norms. News highlights: the United States reciprocal tariff negotiations have entered the countdown, and Kim En-chung, president of Taiwan's Mercedes, said that Mercedes expects global trade to be fair and open, and does not want the government to give preferential treatment to only a single country, and should consider importing cars from multiple parties. Since the announcement of the tariffs by the United States, Taiwan's auto market sales and orders have slowed down, especially Mercedes water trucks have decreased significantly. If the tariff is reduced to zero, Mercedes will cooperate with the price adjustment, but it will not trigger a price war. He stressed that there are many uncertainties in the auto market and the annual sales volume is challenging, and he hoped that the government will make clear decisions as soon as possible to help automakers formulate strategies. News highlights in conjunction with the Taiwan Army's Han Kuang No. 41 live exercise, from 1:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. on July 17, the 2025 Urban Resilience, Air Defense, exercise will be conducted in 7 counties and cities including Yulan, Keelung, Taipei, New Taipei, Dawan, and Hsinchu. At that time, an air raid alert will be issued, and the public must cooperate with evacuation and traffic control according to the command of the police and civil defense personnel, and violators will be fined more than 30,000 yuan and less than 150,000 yuan. Dawan Airport reminds passengers to arrive early, and some transportation and facilities will be suspended during the exercise. The Ministry of Defense appealed to motorists to remain calm and obey traffic rules to ensure the smooth conduct of the exercise. News highlights: Ruffian hero director Cai Yuexun has developed in China in recent years, and he and his ex-wife Yu Ziwei divorced in 2020, and the two have 4 children. On the 15th, Cai Yuexun personally planned a seaside wedding for his 20-year-old eldest daughter Cai Mafei in Kaohsiung's Zaizuan. During the wedding, Cai Yuexun entered with his daughter in his arms, moved to tears, and watched her tie the knot with her British son-in-law Tyler. Yu Ziwei also delivered a speech at the wedding, encouraging the newlyweds to remember that home is always the backing when facing difficulties, and the scene was warm and touching. News highlights: the incidence of colorectal cancer in Taiwan has ranked first in Asia for many years, and it is the second highest incidence of cancer and the third highest mortality rate in Hong Kong. Dr. Chen Bingjun, a hepatobiliary gastroenterologist, shared a case of a man in his 60s who was diagnosed with early-stage colorectal cancer after drinking beef soup for breakfast every day. Doctors remind that if you consume more than 100 grams of red meat per day, the risk of colorectal cancer will increase by 17%. Red meat contains heme iron and carcinogens, and carcinogenic chemicals are more likely to be produced when cooked at high temperatures. It is recommended to consume more white meat or vegetable protein, avoid processed meat and high-temperature cooking, and increase vegetables, fruits, and dietary fiber to help reduce the risk of colorectal cancer. News highlights: in the hot summer, air conditioning has become a daily necessity, but the wrong use will consume electricity and cool down poorly. Common NG behaviors include turning on the air conditioner immediately after returning home without ventilating it first, piling up debris around the outdoor unit to obstruct heat dissipation, turning off the air conditioner after a short trip will increase power consumption, relying only on automatic cleaning without washing the filter, setting the air volume too weakly and the wind direction is downward, and mistakenly believing that the lower the temperature, the cooler it is. It is recommended to set the air conditioning temperature at about 26 degrees Celsius, use it with a fan, maintain proper ventilation and clean the filter regularly, which can be cool and save electricity, and save up to about 10% of the electricity bill. News highlights: U.S. President Donald Trump recently threatened to impose 10% tariffs on countries that support BRICS, saying that his anti-American policies and de-dollarization threaten the status of the United States, and exchanged fire with Brazilian President Luiz Inácio. BRICS countries oppose the U.S. trade measures, stressing that they could harm global supply chains. Trump imposed a 50% tariff on Brazilian goods alone, and Lula will retaliate with reciprocal retaliation and look for new markets, emphasizing that the world no longer needs an emperor. News highlights: the Urban Resilience Air Defense exercise was held from 1:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. today, 17th, in 7 counties and cities in northern China, during which people and vehicles on general roads were fully controlled, and violators could be fined 30,000 to 150,000 yuan. The drill was carried out in conjunction with the Han Kuang Drill Division, and the siren sounded 1 long and 2 short for a total of 3 times. High-speed rail, MRT, and other public transportation will operate as usual, but the entrances and exits of the station and pedestrians need to cooperate with the evacuation instructions. U-Bike will suspend the borrowing of the car, only for returning. Bus passengers must get off the bus and evacuate, and can be renewed without swiping the card after the exercise. News highlights: on the evening of the 16th, the Chinese Communist military aircraft rarely approached the airspace of the Dongsha Islands, and the distance was so close that the warning words of the Chinese Air Force were escalated, emphasizing that it will affect my safety, and we should leave immediately. It shows that the threat to national security is heating up. Dongsha is strategically located and is a military stronghold in the South China Sea. Experts believe that the CCP's move is to test Taiwan's response and put pressure on our country's air defense line. The military has called for strengthening the defense of Dongsha, and the people of the country must be vigilant and jointly prevent regional security risks. News highlights: the incident of the forced blood draw of the women's football players of Taiwan Normal University has been prolonged, and the student Jian Kikan said that what they care about is not the flow of blood, but the grievances they have suffered over the years and the sincere apology that they can't wait for. She emphasized that the purpose of speaking out is to prevent the tragedy from happening again, and hopes that the school will face up to the problem and give substantial psychological support. Jane criticized the negative handling of the school and the Ministry of Education, questioned the inaccuracy of the Swalloon Association's records, and called for a comprehensive census and disclosure of the truth. She stressed that human rights were shared values and that victimized students should not be forgotten. News highlights: a 600 mm water pipe leak occurred near Qiaozhong Elementary School in Tanzi District, Taichung City in the early morning of the 17th, and the Taishui District 4 Management Office stopped the water for emergency repairs from 7 o'clock this morning, and it is expected to last until noon on the 18th, affecting about 158,000 households in 29 hours. The water outage area covers 10 districts, including Central, West, East, South, North, Zaitun, Baitun, Nantun, Tanzi, and Wuri. Taishui has set up 74 temporary water intake stations and dispatched water trucks to support, calling on the public to store water in advance, and the water supply of some highlands and buildings may be delayed in the initial stage of water resumption. News highlights: the 2025 Urban Resilience, Air Defense, exercise will be held in Taipei City this afternoon and will be conducted in 2 phases. In the first phase, from 1330 to 1400 hours, the city will evacuate people and vehicles and implement traffic control, during which air defense sirens will be issued and the alarm will be lifted. In the second stage, from 1400 hours to 1700 hours, drills such as the distribution of people's biological resources, first aid, and relief stations will be carried out in the Little Arena and other places. This is the first time that the civil security and Vian exercises have been integrated, and Mayor Zhang Wanan has been supervised by Cheng Cheng. Those who fail to evacuate in accordance with the regulations will be fined 30,000 to 150,000 yuan in accordance with the civil defense law. News highlights: Trump announced a 50% tariff on Brazilian goods, causing discontent among the Brazilian public. According to The Sun, Cabaret Thaddeus Drinks, a sex bar in Fortaleza, Brazil, imposed a 50% Trump tax on American customers as a protest measure. A U.S. customer shared a bill that showed a full service cost of 250 reais, plus 105 reais Trump tax, for a total of 415 reais. The incident sparked heated discussions in the community, with many Brazilian netizens expressing their support, but some questioning the authenticity of the bill and the existence of the store. News highlights: the bloodbathing case of the women's football team of Taiwan Normal University was extended, and the victim student Jian Kitchen posted an article on Threads accusing the school of insincere apology, and Lu Jinzhang, an associate professor of sports biomechanics, left a message asking, does the entire Normal University have to apologize? Cause controversy. Huang Xiangxian, chairman of the trade union, even broke the news that Lu had allowed those who passed the exam to be treated as if they were teaching students and questioned their abuse of teaching power. As the incident continued to expand, the relationship between the academic and faculty of the university was once again under scrutiny. News highlights: the 726 recall vote counts down, and the 5-seat Blue Committee of Taipei City is facing pressure to step down. The Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, actively mobilized to assist the boycotts in sweeping streets, erecting billboards, and supervising administrative neutrality. The Green Camp councillor pointed out that the dark blue constituency such as Wenshan district has also loosened, and the accumulation of public discontent has continued to heat up the momentum of the recall. Yan Ruofang and Lin Yanfan emphasized that the turnout rate will be the key to success or failure, and criticized the Blue Camp for trying to make a vote through universal cash and verbal humiliation, so as to lose the support of voters in the middle. Mayor Zhang Wanan was questioned about the lack of administrative neutrality, and the anti-strike action was likely to become a burden on the Blue Committee's election. News highlights: the recall voting communique of Zhongli District, Dawan, was blown with Blue Committee member Liu Ming's anti-recall propaganda, and legislator Wang Yushuan released photos on the 17th, showing that the election communique and Liu Ming's propaganda were tied with rubber bands, and the number of distributions in each neighborhood was recorded. The recall group bitterly criticized this move for violating administrative neutrality. The neighborhood chief was suspected of violating the law by carrying the candidate's propaganda, and the recall reason was not delivered to the mailbox, requiring the people to collect it themselves, affecting the people's exercise of rights. The strike solemnly demanded that the violations be stopped and that the fair and democratic procedures of the elections be upheld. News highlights: on May 19, the presidential office appointed former legislator and lead singer of the Shining Orchestra Lin Changzuo as its representative to Finland. In the past, Lin Changzuo chose not to be re-elected to the legislature because his wife suffered from a rare brain disease, and spoke publicly about his family's situation. Lin's wife Doris revealed that her condition has been treated for more than 3 years, and she is currently fine, only occasionally dizzy, and the doctor assessed that she is in good physical condition. Lin Changzuo will go to Finland to take up a new position, and Doris plans to take her daughter with her to start a new life. News highlights: RT Mart will be fully upgraded to Daquanlian on August 1, and the Dujin store in New Taipei will take the lead in replacing the new signboard of Daquanlian on the 17th, announcing the official end of RT Mart's 29-year history. Chuanlian acquired RT Mart in 2022, and after a 3-year plan and integration, it will retain RT Mart's mass sales advantages and create a Daquanlian that is closer to families. Thanksgiving tea parties and promotions will be held before the end of the month in all stores in Taiwan, and the consumption of 2,000 yuan or more on July 19 and 20 will enjoy a 9% discount, and the consumption welfare points will be doubled from August to the end of the year, and the original RT Mart CO branded card will be renamed De Quanlian credit card from September, and the feedback will be increased to a maximum of 1.2%. News highlights: internet celebrity Pineapple was chased by a gunman on a motorcycle on the evening of the 15th and fired 12 shots, and the car was attacked, but fortunately Pineapple and his wife were safe. Police are reviewing surveillance cameras to track down the suspect. After the incident was exposed, the tired boss of the snack e-commerce company who had a grudge with Pineapple made suspected provocative remarks on IG, and then deleted the article, which was questioned by the outside world about the involvement. The tired boss issued a clarification again this morning, saying that the random issuance of restrictions was misunderstood, emphasizing that he had no intention of getting involved in the incident. Pineapple solemnly appealed to the family not to affect the incident. News highlights: on the afternoon of the 15th, when an employee surnamed Li of Taipower's Chi District Department was rushing to repair electricity in Yazhou Township, he was hit by 6,000-volt UHV electricity and fell to the ground with serious injuries. Footage 3 hours before the incident shows him wearing a helmet and insulated gloves, concentrating on his tasks. Legislator Cai Yahu pointed out that the suspected cause of the accident was that the telecommunications cable was hung on a Taipower pole, and if the cable had been cut directly at that time, it might have been avoided. Taipower and the Labor Department have intervened in the investigation, believing that Li is suspected of not wearing insulated gloves throughout the whole process, and the relevant operations will be suspended and punished in accordance with the occupational safety law. News highlights: Zhou Taiying, the coach of the women's football team of Taiwan Normal University, was revealed to have forced players to have blood drawn 3 times a day for 14 consecutive days, resulting in serious damage to the students' blood vessels, and some people were even drawn more than 200 tubes of blood. Blood draws are not performed by professional medical personnel, but by unlicensed personnel, and the hands are directly touched with needles in the process, which violates infection control standards and seriously endangers the health of students. Lai Shunheng, chairman of the Medical Examiners Association, bitterly criticized this move for violating medical safety, and students often showed symptoms such as bruises, swelling, and pain, and called on relevant units to clarify their responsibilities and avoid hastily closing the case. News highlights: 16 years after the disbandment of the idol boy group F4, they sang Meteor Shower in a surprise combination at the May Day concert, which aroused the memories of fans. Zhu Xiaoqian admitted through a live broadcast yesterday, 16th, that in recent years, he and Yan Chensu, Wu Jianhao and Zhou Yumin chose to withdraw from the 4-group group and cut off contact due to their respective developments, not because of disagreement, but to avoid complicated relationships. He emphasized that he had no knots, that it was okay to be less emotional, and that being an F4 member had made him unhappy, but it was not related to the team members. Zhu Xiaoqian revealed that he has agreed to be the guest of F4 Comeback, and the relevant arrangements are still being discussed. News highlights: Wei Yiquanlong cheerleading team Xiaolong Like and Uni Lions player Lin Jiaoyi are in love, and they were photographed publicly confessing their love after 8 hours of dating, which was blessed by fans. Recently, when Like was cheering at Daliu Baseball Stadium, she was asked by fans about her boyfriend's recent situation on the spot, and she responded generously and showed a happy smile, showing high emotional intelligence. The two have attracted much attention because of their sister-brother relationship. Lin Jiaoyi hit a home run in the game, and Like joked and wanted to chop his hand, and the funny interaction aroused heated discussions among fans. News highlights: many people like to drink handshaken, but long-term consumption of sugary drinks can easily lead to obesity, diabetes, and fatty liver. Lu Boren, an expert in nutritional medicine, pointed out that even if you choose sugar-free tea, you may still consume too much sugar with ingredients such as pearls. Ingredients such as pearls and taro balls have high sugar content and are easy to exceed. The World Health Organization recommends that the daily intake of added sugars should be less than 10% of total calories, preferably less than 5%. Lu Boren reminds that excessive sugar can lead to insulin resistance, metabolic abnormalities, and metabolic syndromes, increasing health risks. He recommends gradually reducing the sugar content in ingredients, and reducing the frequency of drinking, to maintain health. News highlights: at 8:45 a.m. today, 17th, the militia will assemble and set off at the Shenkaiya Food Palace in Bangqiao, New Taipei City, including So Kaihui, chairman of the New Taipei City Party Department of the Democratic Progressive Party, Lin Yusheng, Secretary General, Wu Saiyao, Secretary General of the DPP Caucus, and representatives of the Bangqiao Daja Yuan team. News highlights: tropical disturbance 96W formed a tropical depression TD09 on the 16th and will be upgraded to typhoon number 6 Vipa today, 17th. Meteorological expert Lin pointed out that Vipa may be moving northwest through Luzon or the Bass Strait, close to Taiwan. If the track moves slightly northward, the impact on Taiwan will increase and the duration will be extended to July 20th. Heavy rainfall is likely to fall on the windward side, including the eastern, southeastern and southern parts of Yuhua, and heavy rainfall and standing water in mountainous areas are particularly alert. The meteorological department continued to monitor the movement of the typhoon and reminded the public to prepare for typhoons. News highlights: less than 10 days before the recall vote on July 26, many legislators of the Kuomintang are facing a crisis, but Zhao Xiaokong, a representative of the Battle Blue, chose to fly to East Africa for a trip on the day of the vote, and the absentee vote caused controversy. Writer Yan Zhao criticized Zhao Xiaokong's contradictory move and satirized the behavior of the Blue Camp supporters for not voting. Former KMT spokesman Xiao Qingyan also called on Zhao Xiaokong to self-examine, stressing that he, as the leader of the Blue Camp, should actively urge votes. Zhao Xiaokong's move has sparked questions inside and outside the party and has become a focus of attention in the recent recall boom. News highlights: Chavez, a 32-year-old Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu coach in Sao Paulo, Brazil, was attacked by 2 leash pit bulls while jogging a few days ago, and the two sides fought fiercely for more than 5 minutes. At that time, the onlookers did not lend a helping hand, and the police and enthusiastic members of the public later assisted in controlling the dogs. The owner did not come forward to apologize until the police arrived. Chavez urged large dog owners to take care of them and avoid similar dangerous incidents. News highlights: the election communique of the recall case in Zhongli District, Dawan, was sent together with the anti-recall propaganda of the ousted Land Committee member Liu Mingche, and was distributed by the neighbor chief, violating administrative neutrality. Legislator Wang Yushuan released a photo and asked the Dawan City Election Committee to explain that the recall group breaking the egg and removing Liu criticized this move for undermining the fairness of the election, and the reason for the recall was not actively served, and the people were asked to collect it themselves, affecting the people's exercise of the right to recall. The strike called on Liu Mingche to stop illegal interference and safeguard democratic procedures. News highlights: on the eve of TSMC's legal conference on the 17th, foreign investors overbought for 6 consecutive days and raised the target price to 1,280 yuan, and the market is optimistic about the stock price performance. However, global semiconductor equipment leader ASML issued a warning of a poor quarterly outlook and withdrew its growth forecast for next year, as customers may face zero growth for the first time in more than 10 years due to delayed purchases due to tariffs and export controls. Under the influence of the news, TSMC's share price rose to 1,135 yuan in early trading and then fell back to black, and the lowest fell to 1,115 yuan, which dragged the broader market index down, and the investment atmosphere became more cautious. News highlights: if Trump fires Fed Chairman Jerome Powell, it will trigger major market turmoil, which could trigger a sell-off in the stock market and a rise in long-term treasury rates. The Wolf Research report deduces 3 scenarios, including Bauer's continued service, filing a lawsuit after resignation, and forced replacement, all of which could lead to a judicial controversy that could ultimately be decided by the Supreme Court. Experts warn that the move will shake market confidence, and because of the Fed's independence, Powell has a chance of winning the case, but it is not a sure win. Trump denied that he had a plan to fire him in the near future, but he had previously threatened to do so, which caused the market to pay close attention. News highlights: Japan's Zyoki operator 7&i's stock price fell nearly 10% in early trading on the 17th, as Canadian company Couche-Tard announced the withdrawal of a $46 billion acquisition proposal. Couche-Tard accused 7&i of a lack of good faith and constructive communication, prompting the breakdown of the negotiations. For its part, 7&i denied the allegations, expressing disappointment and refuting the claims. The deal was considered extremely difficult to succeed due to Japan's protectionism and 7&i's status as a core national company. The stock price fluctuation attracted market attention, and trading was suspended for a while. News highlights: U.S. President Donald Trump announced on social media that Coca-Cola would switch to sucrose instead of high-fructose corn syrup, causing shares of 2 major syrup suppliers, Archer Daniels Midland and Ingredion, to tumble more than 5% in after-hours trading. Coca-Cola did not respond positively to this, only saying that it would announce the details of the product innovation soon. Trump did not say the amount of sucrose used and whether it will replace high-fructose corn syrup, and the official website still shows that the original cola contains high-fructose corn syrup, and the market is still concerned about whether this change is true. News highlights: on the 16th, the board of directors of Shinkong Mitsukoshi approved the reorganization of the management level, with Wu Dongsheng continuing as chairman, and Wu Zhenyang, the third-generation general manager, being promoted to vice chairman and general manager, retaining the substantive management right and symbolizing the succession layout. Japan's representative Isatan Mitsukoshi stepped down from the post of vice chairman, and the authority to govern was fully returned to Taiwan. The reshuffle reflects a compromise in the balance of power within the family, and the dispute will be suspended in the short term, but the struggle for dominance will continue as the influence of Shinkong Gold's shareholding continues. News highlights: DBS Bank released its investment outlook for the third quarter of 2025, pointing out that Trump's promotion of tariffs and geopolitical tensions in the Middle East have increased market volatility and increased inflation and interest rate risks. The dollar weakened, benefiting the euro and the yen. U.S. stocks recommend defensive allocation, and technology stocks are resilient due to the continued growth of AI. The attractiveness of the bond market has increased, and the leverage duration strategy is recommended, and we are optimistic about high-quality high-yield bonds. In terms of alternative investments, gold is supported by central bank buying, and private credit and infrastructure assets have long-term potential, so investors should maintain a long-term position and respond cautiously to market uncertainties. News highlights: U.S. President Donald Trump continues to announce new tariff rates on more than 20 countries, including Taiwan. Trump said that he could reach a good deal with India, Indonesia, and other countries, and is sending tariff notification letters to more than 150 non-negotiating countries with uniform tariff rates. Indonesia's tariffs have been reduced to 19% from the original plan of 32%. Taiwan, Switzerland, and India have not received tariff letters, indicating that negotiations are nearing completion. The administration stressed that it will strive for Taiwan's tariffs to be no higher than those of competitors such as Japan and South Korea. Trump stressed that those who fail to reach the agreement will face high tariffs, with Brazil's tax rate even reaching 50%. News highlights: a 38-year-old man named Sister Hong in Nanjing, China, had bareback sex with 1,691 men as a pseudo-mother, and uploaded the process to the internet for profit, which sparked heated discussions on social media platforms. The fitness coach Blazing Yang had a relationship with Sister Hong for 3 degrees, and the test results were announced again after the initial negative test, showing that turning from yin to yang caused panic, but it was later confirmed that it was a Helicobacter pylori test and not a sexually transmitted disease. Netizens questioned the frequent posts of Blazing Yang for the sake of popularity, and some people reminded that Helicobacter pylori generally does not need to worry too much, and the incident continues to cause controversy and concern. News highlights: Wang Haoai, a well-known writer and host of Admiralty, died in Taitung on June 29 due to a sudden myocardial infarction at the age of 68. His farewell ceremony was held at the Taipei No. 2 funeral home on the 16th, and the posthumous photo selected his laughing appearance before his death, showing a warm personality. Relatives, friends, and representatives of the Ministry of Culture were present to pay their respects and present the certificate of commendation. Wang Haoai's ashes were placed in the 10,000 Buddha pagoda of Jinbao Mountain by his son Wang Beishun, and his friend Su Repentance thanked him for his warm and keen soul, saying that he would always remain in the hearts of everyone. News highlights: Bun Hamin, a well-known French comedian, died on July 10 when he accidentally fell from a building while picking up a mobile phone that fell from a balcony gutter. The police preliminarily determined that it was an accident and found no signs of homicide or suicide. Originally an information engineer, Bouletin Hyman switched to comedy at the age of 24, and became popular in 2014 with his debut show The Legend of Funny Chinese, and became a representative of French talk shows because of his sharp and humorous exploration of racial discrimination and identity. It was originally scheduled to perform in Canada on the 11th, but his sudden death shocked fans. News highlights: Yan Huai, the father of Yan Qingbiao, chairman of Taichung Daijia Zhenlan Palace, passed away at home at 4 p.m. on the 16th at the age of 92. Yan Qingbiao's daughter, Taichung City Vice Speaker Yan Liman, confirmed the news and thanked all walks of life for their concern. The family said that they refused to be interviewed during the funeral and thanked the outside world for their care and support. News highlights: before last year's presidential election, the Ministry of National Defense issued a national alert and mistakenly translated China's launch of a satellite as missile, flying over Taiwan, sparking a controversy over the election. Today, 17th, Kuomintang legislator Su Yuzhen warned that China will launch satellites on July 21, 22 and 25, and the DPP may repeat a similar missile message to interfere in the recall election. In addition, Su Xinying, a member of the Blue Committee, questioned the illegal propaganda vehicles to mobilize support for the recall, called for strict investigation, and stressed that democracy should not become a protective umbrella for political Olympiad. News highlights: as the Hankuang 41 exercise came to an end, the People's Liberation Army, PLA, continued to operate around the Taiwan Strait. In the early morning of 16 to July 17, Taiwan's Defense Department detected 58 sorties, 9 warships and 1 official vessel, of which 45 flew over the center line of the strait and entered Taiwan's airspace. At the same time, the Communist Army dispatched 38 sorties, including J-16 and Air Police 500, to cooperate with naval ships to carry out joint combat readiness patrols, with the intention of testing our Army's defensive response, and the threat has increased significantly, and the Taiwan military continues to closely monitor and respond. News highlights: Typhoon Bapa will form as soon as the 17th, and its path will gradually turn northward and approach the southern seas of Taiwan. Meteorological expert Wu Shenjiao pointed out that from Friday, 18th, the eastern half of Taiwan and the Hengchun Peninsula will be affected by the typhoon's outer circulation with showers or localized heavy rain, and there will also be hot convective rain in the afternoon in the western half of the mountainous area. Over the weekend, 19th to 20th, the rain will continue to expand, and rain will fall in 16 counties and cities, including Greater Taipei, and there is a risk of heavy rain in Huadong and southern areas. The typhoon gradually moved away on Sunday, but the outer circulation still affected the southeasterly winds to bring rain. News highlights Kuomintang legislator Ye Yuanxi became the focus of the general recall, and the Green Camp strike group set off from Bangqiao on the 17th to launch a remote vote urging operation, and many legislators of the Democratic Progressive Party also appeared to help, calling on voters to vote for approval and strive to succeed in the recall. Ye Yuanxi insisted on standing on the street to promote the anti-recall, and in the face of protesters and even being spat on, he still responded with a smile, and the atmosphere at the scene was tense. Ye criticized the recall as a retaliatory political tactic, describing Taiwan's society as seriously torn apart, and the confrontation between the two sides continues to heat up. News highlights in the countdown to the recall vote, telephone poles and street lamp poles in Hualien were hung with anti-recall and consent to recall banners, causing the public to question whether it was legal. The Hualien County government responded that public facilities such as bridges, sidewalks, and telephone poles are prohibited from hanging advertising materials, and violators can be fined up to 1 million if they do not dismantle them after persuasion. Although the county government announced on the 8th that some locations would be open to hang cloth strips, telephone poles, and street lights are still in the restricted area. The county election committee stressed that it will remove the illegal cloth strips and impose fines in accordance with the law, and called on both sides to abide by the relevant provisions of the election and recall law and maintain a level playing field. News highlights the Jinghuachen case was reopened on the 17th, and Kei Wen's wife Chen Piki issued a complaint last night that Kei was detained for nearly a year, during which his father passed away but could not accompany the farewell ceremony. She questioned Zhong Xiaoping and Yu Shuai, who had reported the case, and demanded that the Beijing Procuratorate release the investigation report and criticize the unfair detention. Peggy Chan also revealed that Kei had multiple bruises on his body when he appeared in court, calling on the outside world to face up to his experience. As for the accusation of influencing witnesses, she refuted that she only clarified the facts on Facebook, emphasizing that she was not afraid of judicial oppression. News highlights Xiao Tong, who spent her 60th birthday fighting cancer, rethought her life after experiencing the baptism of life, and made 8 major wishes such as traveling around the world, organ donation, and helping 100 people. She has completed the signing of organ donation and Anning waived first aid, and planned a simple farewell ceremony, hoping to choose Taipei for family visits. Xiao Tong has been donating grants for a long time, is enthusiastic about helping others, and recently helped burn patients. She encouraged her friends to pursue their dreams bravely, and also to pay attention to stray animals and actively live a meaningful life. News highlights a 6-year-old boy in Lille City, France, mistook a 7-month-old premature baby girl for a doll in a children's hospital, picked it up and fell hard, causing severe brain damage, and the baby girl was declared brain dead on the 15th. On the day of the incident, the baby's family was going through the discharge procedures when they were suddenly notified to return to the ward and found the baby lying on the ground. Family members accused the boy of frequent unattended run into the ward, and nurses warned him about his behavior. The police and prosecutors have intervened in the investigation, and the hospital has also launched an internal review to determine whether there has been administrative negligence. News highlights the Taiwan Normal University women's football team blood draw for credits continued to ferment. The coach involved Zhou Taiying was accused of evil deeds, and the school's professor Lu Jinzhang's message detonated the controversy, and was questioned for directing a paper suspected of involving blood drawing with Zhou, and once taught students a lesson with the results of compulsory courses. The Humanistic Foundation criticized Lu for misinterpreting the victim's demands and creating confrontation between teachers and students, and pointed out that Liu's self-defense instead of reflecting may increase the fear of the victim's return to school, and called for facing up to the problems of school and school supervision and abuse of power. News highlights the 20-year-old second-generation star Wu Tongmei recently shared photos of her summer vacation seaside trip with Alyssa Jia and her 2 younger sisters in the community, which attracted attention. She and Bo girls show off their slender pencil legs and inherit their mother's excellent genes. Alyssa Jia happily posted a photo with her daughters, dressed in a relaxed and stylish manner, showing a happy family atmosphere and enjoying exclusive parent-child time. News highlights 9 years ago, during the reunion dinner of 16 members of the 3 generations of the Wang family in Dawen, Wang Rengxian was resentful of his parents for changing their wishes and his brother running over the green onion fields in his childhood, and set fire to 6 people with gasoline. After committing the crime, he fled to the Baihan Highway and was found and arrested 5 days later. During the trial, Wang had a cold and unrepentant attitude, and even insulted the judge and compared his middle finger, emphasizing that he would not be sad if his family died. The court found that his motives were heinous and his methods were cruel, and sentenced him to death in 2019. News highlights a 20-year-old man surnamed Cai in Taichung was inspected by the police after drinking in a nightclub, and in order to avoid a drink test, he jumped into the passenger seat when the vehicle had not yet stopped, and disguised his identity with his friends in a man-man posture, causing the vehicle to move slowly forward and collide with multiple vehicles. The alcohol test result was 0.09 mg/L, which did not exceed the standard, and he was still sent for the crime of obstructing the safety of public traffic for dangerous driving. The police urged that after drinking, you should seek a substitute driver and not leave anything to chance. News highlights American YouTuber Mo Cakesy, Haley, recently revealed that due to the recovery of old childhood injuries, he underwent 2 major surgeries to remove bone fragments in the buttock muscles and suture the torn tendon. At the beginning of the operation, he was reoperated due to severe pain in the hematoma, and is currently in the 7th week of recovery, still relying on crutches to walk. She thanked her family for taking care of them and expressed her gratitude to her fans, looking forward to a speedy recovery and return to daily life. News highlights: the Mayday Arena concert led to the integration of F4, which sparked heated discussions. Zhu Xiaotian choked up and cried when talking about Big S in a live broadcast recently, saying that she ran through the youth of the F44, and she was the person everyone loved when they were young. He also responded to criticism from the outside world that he sold Wang Xiaofei's brand Hot and Sour Noodles Live, and asked rhetorically, "Why can't I sell them?" And frankly said that he hoped that Wang would make money so that the children would be taken care of. This remark sparked discussions and questions on the Land Network. News highlights: Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet ordered a large-scale sweep of online fraud parks in Cambodia, arresting more than 1,000 suspects in just a few days, including 75 Taiwanese, 271 Indonesian, and 213 Vietnamese. The operation spread to Phnom Penh, Sihanoukville, and the border town of Poi Pot, and the police seized a large number of fraudulent equipment. The move comes amid tensions between Cambodia and Thailand over the border dispute, and international concern about the spread of the fraud industry from Southeast Asia to the world. Amnesty International has accused some of Cambodia's fraud parks of human trafficking and slavery, and the United Nations has warned of a serious spread of fraud. News highlights: a bizarre accident occurred in Mili, San Juan on the afternoon of the 16th, and the 73-year-old orchard owner surnamed Lin was suspected of being trapped between the fork of the fruit tree and the truck that was still starting when applying fertilizer. Other farmers reported to the fire department after discovering it, and the rescuers sawed off the branches and rescued him to the hospital, but he was still declared dead. The cause of the accident is still to be clarified. News highlights: Typhoon number 6 Vipa will form as soon as today, 17th, and is expected to pass over the northern tip of Luzon Island and enter the South China Sea, which will have a significant impact on the weather in Taiwan. From Friday, 18th, to Sunday, at least 16 counties and cities in Taiwan will be affected by their outer circulation, and localized heavy rain must be prevented in the eastern, southern and mountainous areas. After the typhoon is far away, the weather will remain unstable due to the influence of a monsoon depression next week, reminding the public to pay attention to the latest forecast.